G'day guys, it's Mr. Oz Adventure here. I know, it's been a long time. I haven't uploaded a video in quite some time, but I have been busy. I have a new house, which I am in now. I'm in my garage underneath my house at the moment. One of my garages. I have an upstairs garage and a downstairs garage. This one is a bit of a workshop. But that's not what I'm here for today. I'm here to show you my new toy. Take a look at this. 2021 Suzuki DRZ400, brand new. It had 700 meters on the clock when I bought it, and I've put about 170 k's on it at the moment. It's been a long time coming, I'll tell you. I have wanted a DRZ for years and years and years, but I've never been able to afford to have a second bike. I still have my V-Strom. I will not be selling that. I will be keeping that for some time. I have another video coming up soon about my V-Strom, so stay tuned for that. But I finally got the DRZ, selling my old family home, downsizing, and finally getting into this place. I bought this place at the start of the year, but it took 6 months to get the tenant out and for me to get in. So I had the funds to buy the bike at the start of the year, but I had nowhere to keep it. So I finally got set up, and now I have one for a bit more dirt adventures. Take it places where I just don't want to take the V-Strom, you know. But this one will get me into tighter places where the V-Strom is not so much fun. Before I start riding it and taking it on some serious adventures, I'm going to do some modifications to it. First impressions of the DRZ, taking it home from Brisbane to the Gold Coast, I had to do some highway, and it became very clear that I just cannot leave this thing in its standard gearing. So I've got some extra sprockets. I'm going to change the gearing, 15 up the front, 44 at the back. I've got some radiator guards. I'm going to take those plastic ones off and put something a bit more substantial on. Same underneath here. You've got a bit of protection underneath there, but I'm going to put a B&B bash plate on. I've had one of those on my Strom for years. One thing I found standing up on the pegs, I don't like the handlebars, so I'm going to get some new bars, and I'm going to get some risers just to make it a little bit more comfortable. I don't have them yet. I'm going to get rid of this tool bag off the back here and put a luggage rack on the back. That is coming. And I've got some side bag racks, some pannier racks, so I can go travelling on it, go camping. There's all my camping gear up there. A lot of car camping gear, but I've got all my small bike camping gear. A couple of tents, seats, mattresses. I'll have to do a rundown on all my bike camping gear next time I go camping. Yeah, there's the goodies. Radiator guards, bark busters, bar risers, the same. Sprockets, definitely that's a priority. And I've got a case saver for the front sprocket, so you take off the plastic cover and put that on. And the bash plate, the B&B bash plate. Pivot pegs is another thing I'm going to get. I love my pivot pegs on my V-Strom, so I'll be doing the same on this bike. One thing I don't like is these are ugly. I'm going to get rid of that. These stupid looking reflectors, but that is ugly. That's going. Anyway, let's rip into this and make it a bit more adventurous looking, eh? Alright, so phase one is done. I've got the radiator guards installed successfully. They look great in there. The force accessories radiator guards. They come in two colours, the polished aluminium, I guess you'd call that, and the black. I just went for the aluminium because it was the same colour as the radiator, and I've got a lot of black on the bike already, so a bit of a mix of both is good. They weren't too bad to fit. A little bit of mucking around because there's brackets behind there that I had to mount as well. I had to remove the tank, or just unbolt it and shuffle it back, and take off the horn and relocate the horn. But quite a nice fit. They look really good. On to the next thing now, which is the sprockets. Oh man, that was an absolute mission to get that nut undone. Finally got there. I just couldn't for life of me get it with the breaker bar. Had my foot on the rear brake, in gear. The bike just kept moving. Had to push it up against the wall. Had to just sit on the bike with the rear brake just fully engaged, as much pressure as I could, and the bike just pressed hard against the wall, and just reef on that breaker bar with two hands. That was hard work. Alrighty, new sprocket is on. Wasn't so bad once I got the nut undone. Getting it off, the sprocket came off easy. I thought that was going to be a mission too, but I guess it's so new, it just hasn't had a chance to heat up and stick on there yet, and there's no rust or anything. But the rear wheel, easy to get off. Rear sprocket, easy to get off. Now I just got to put it all back together and line it all up, get the chain sitting nice and the correct tension. Right, so now we're up to the adjusting the chain stage, and I highly recommend a chain monkey. This thing makes it so much easier. Although I should be on the side stand, I'd better do that first. Alright, so now that the sprockets are done, it's on to the next shiny goodies. This luggage rack turned up yesterday, so I'm going to whack that on there, get rid of the little tool bag there. That's going to go on there in its place. That's going to be pretty awesome. Be able to strap all sorts of crap to that. And the bash plate, both from B&B Off-Road. The bash plate is going to replace the factory setup there, which is pretty small and not all that protective really in the grand scheme of things. That's going to be heaps better. Yeah, it's going to make it look tough. That bad boy looks a lot better. Eh? A lot more solid. Look at that. That's going to be awesome. Tie all sorts of crap on there now. I have some pannier racks coming as well that are going to go over the top, so I may have to take that back off to fit the pannier racks. And bash plate is on. That looks pretty cool. I like it. A bit more solid. Goes nicely with this B&B bash plate here that's very beat up. That's what they look like when they're new. Nice and shiny. Beat up. It's been abused, that one. Solid as a rock there. They make really good stuff, B&B. That is also a B&B case saver there. Covering my sprocket. These came from eBay and they didn't fit. Well, they fit the bike, but they didn't fit with the B&B luggage rack there. Just got stuck here. Just could not get up to the mounting point because the mounting point wanted this to be at that height. And obviously these two pieces of metal couldn't be there together. So I had to cut the bracket off the back and re-weld at a different angle. That all worked really well. I got them both on there. The other side I was able to use the same bracket and just rotate it. but this one I had to put a whole new bracket for some reason. It just would not reach, so I just found a bit of steel at work and just cut it to size and welded it onto the luggage rack. And yeah, not bad for eBay specials. I mean, it cost me like $100, not even that. Not quite as sturdy as the old Gibby ones on the V-Strom. That's got a lot more mounting points, but I won't be taking as much weight on this bike as I do on the V-Strom. Alright, so the next little mission on the DRZ build is, this is not my DRZ. This is Jay's DRZ. Hello. This is mine. Look at that. It's all pulled apart. There's not a lot there when you take all the bits off. So what we're doing today, we just rerouted these breather hoses for the carby. They normally come down the bottom here. We've got all these other hoses there, but apparently they're all good. You leave them dangling. But there's two you want to piss off and put up high so you don't end up stalling the bike in creek crossings. So basically you're limited to doing creek crossings of that depth, you know, 6 inches if you leave it stock. But now we've got quite a few feet. We're going to go and do the Condamine River again, I reckon. This time we're going to have water in there, and that gets it well and truly high enough out of harm's way, and we should be good to do some little creek crossings. Alright, the DRZ build is still going. It's been going for a few weeks now since I've had the bike, but I'm nearly at the point where I'm happy with it. There's a few more things I've got to do. I'm going to get rid of these standard handlebars, put on some bark busters, and change the foot pegs. I have some Pro Taper bars there, some bark busters, and some pivot pegs. I do love my pivot pegs. Got them on the V-Strom, had them on there for a few years. Really enjoy them. But in the meantime, I have been riding this, and I have clocked up just over 1,000 kilometers on it, so it is ready for its first service. I've been on a bit of a road trip on it now. Went away camping on the weekend with it. 550 kilometer trip. I can tell you that is one uncomfortable seat. My ass was sore, so that will be getting changed at some stage, but it's not high priority right now. Alright, let's get into doing a few more things to it. We'll start pulling everything apart. So what I'm doing here is taking a photo of the way the throttle cables go into the throttle tube assembly. One thing I've learned from my job pulling apart cars every day is to take photos of anything you think might be a little bit tricky to put back together. Just take a photo. If it's going to be a few days, week, whatever, which it normally is with my job, then you've got it to look at and just reference how it goes back together a bit later on. So I'm obviously going to be reusing the original throttle tube assembly, but I'm putting new hand grips on. So the easiest way to do that is for me to take this into work tomorrow and sand that all off. So yeah, even with air tools, air sanders at work, getting the old grip off the throttle tube was a prick of a job. I'd probably recommend looking at getting a new one if they're cheap enough. I'm also going to reroute this throttle cable assembly to over the front here, just make it a little bit of a shorter route because I'm putting risers on and they're going to be a little bit of a stretch. Alrighty, so it's now Thursday afternoon and I want to ride this thing on the weekend, so I better get my act into gear and get some handlebars back on the baby. First thing I'm going to do with the Pro Taper bars is drill these holes for the switch locators so the switches don't move around. Right, next thing is to install the pivot pegs. That is going to make it so much easier, sturdier to ride off-road. And of course they pivot, which makes it easier to deal with rough terrain and to get your foot underneath the gear shifter. So that is it, guys. That is all I'm doing for now. I haven't been on a decent ride since I finished off the handlebars and everything and foot pegs on the bike, but I've done a few 100Ks and taken it for its first service. So that is all done now, all serviced, all good to go, and I'm really happy with the way it feels with the pivot pegs and the handlebar setup. The risers just give me that little bit of extra comfort, makes it so much easier standing up on the pegs, and even makes my back a little bit straighter sitting down on the seat as well. The other addition is the quad lock. I've got the quad lock, the anti-vibration dampener, and the phone charger. So duplicating what I have on my other bike onto this bike, as well as the helmet hook. I couldn't handle not having a helmet hook on this bike, so as you can see, bolts on there quite easily. Oh, I've also got like a tool bag on the front, just testing that out today. It seems to wobble around a little bit more than it did, but we'll see how that goes. A lot of people have that set up and that seems fine. Well, there we go, that is it. Now that the bike is all set up the way I want it to and it's had its first service, I'm going to go and have some fun on it. See you later, guys. Hope you enjoyed this and hope you got something out of it. If you haven't already got a DRZ, you've been thinking about it, go and get one now. Awesome bike, so much fun. See ya.